Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session that was created for a client that was experiencing resistance at becoming the person that they were capable of becoming. They knew that they had broken a lot of their limitations, a lot of the ways of thinking that were impeding their ability to live life. And yet the idea of fully living life at the level that they were capable of was encountering an element of resistance and hesitation. And after digging a bit in the introduction part of the session before the hypnosis started, what was evident is that a lot of this came from a childhood where there were constant reminders of what could go wrong if they ventured too far from what was considered okay. So there was a real effort to coerce and control, and using fear as the primary way of doing this. So in this hypnosis session, what you're going to be listening to is a way of thinking about limitations and fear in a way that cultivates courage and encourages the ability to test rather than guess. And a lot of anxiety can lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy where if you're worried about doing something because of negative consequences and then you don't ever do that thing, you've got no way of proving that those consequences weren't real, and that's what keeps people in a particular loop. So that's the purpose of this hypnosis session, to encourage you to challenge those limitations, challenge the beliefs, and what you find out that a lot of the time those fears aren't real. You know, a lot of them are just an illusion. So find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow yourself to release any feelings of worry, stress, or tension. And feel like that's leaving your body in your outward breath. Become aware of where tension feels like it is. Could be around your eyes, your neck, your shoulders. Might be in the arms, the jaw. But as you breathe in that resourceful feeling of relaxation, I want you to imagine that that tension is melting away. And as it melts away, just feel like it's either evaporating into the air, leaving your body in your outward breath, or just disappearing. And as it disappears, notice that your posture has a desire to change. Your breathing slows down and gets deeper. I want you to get a sense that you're noticing a shift. The shift in the body is just a precursor to a shift in your mind. So as your body relaxes, your mind enters a state of calm and tranquility. And as your mind finds that calmness, that reinforces the permission to your body to let go. So the more you relax, the more your mind shifts, and the more your body also releases more of that tension, enabling you to feel deeper and deeper relaxed, connected to yourself. That's right. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a small village in the middle of a forest. Maybe there's just 20 or 30 people in this village. And I want you to imagine there's a child that was born in the village. And I want you to see the elders, not just the parent of the child, but the leader of this small village in a dense forest, having a lot of influence over the thoughts, the feelings of that small village. I want you to imagine you're a villager there in that village. You grew up being told that there are dangerous things in the woods that surround the village. You're told of stories of bears and wolves, of what would happen if you left the village and went into the forest. You heard stories of people that did leave the village and never came back. I want you to imagine that the elders of this village only have influence if people stay in the village. If people leave the village and never return, they become less and less powerful. I want you to imagine you're a child in the village, and you're saying maybe to a parent or an elder, I'd like to take a walk in the forest, explore different things. Maybe you can imagine hearing an older person there in that village saying to you, but what if there's a wolf? What if there's a bear? What if you get lost in that deep, dark woods? And how easy would it be as a child to believe those stories of the bears and the wolves and the lost children that went walking in the woods before, and feel like the safe thing to do would be to just stay in the village. It might be boring, mundane, the same people, the same experiences, but at least it's safe. And imagine that child turning into a teenager and having a real desire to see different people, make new friends, and saying, maybe there's another village also in the forest. And imagine hearing those older members of that village saying, what if you get lost? What if there are dangerous people in the forest that want to kidnap you, steal you. I want you to get a sense that part of that desire is to keep you safe. Part of it is because they would fear losing you. And even if you answered their questions of, what if you get eaten by a wolf, and you say, no, I can look after myself, I'm willing to try. They might say, yeah, but what if there's 2 or 3 wolves? What if the forest is deeper and darker? What if there are evil witches living in the forest? I want you to get a sense that fear is rarely logical. Fear is emotional. And fear is one of the most powerful influences that exist. For hundreds of years, people dared not sail too far away from Europe in case they fell off the edge of the world. And now we can hear that and we can laugh. But back then, the fear was so real that it required huge amounts of courage and bravery to venture out even a few hundred miles away from where had been traveled before. But sometimes it's only when we leave a place of safety that we realize the walls and the barriers were never real, and the wolves and the bears were never real, and that the forest wasn't a place of fear, but a place of beauty and opportunity, and that beyond the boundaries of the village is a beautiful world with amazing things and amazing experiences. I want you to imagine that you became an adult there in that village, and you decided to venture out into the woods. And what you learned is that the bears weren't real, and the wolves weren't real. And you ventured out, and although the forest was real, the forest was a place of beauty. And you kept venturing out. And you saw new towns and new villages. But they weren't filled with scary people and monsters. They were friendly people. And your world got bigger. And perhaps you ventured further still and had even more experiences. And it wasn't always easy, but it was. Coming from a place of adventure and exploration, self-belief and courage. And I want you to imagine that you spent a lifetime exploring the world beyond the village. And imagine in your 70s, you were curious about that village. Maybe it was all just a dream. So you returned to the village and you saw people that were the same age as you, that had spent their whole life in the village. And they wondered why you weren't eaten by wolves and bears. And when you told them that there were no wolves and bears there in the forest, you were the crazy one. you to get a sense that your resources exceed the limitations around your world. What if the world beyond those walls, those borders, is an amazing, beautiful place? And what if, even if things go wrong, that's an opportunity to learn and get wiser, to move forward and to flourish? And I want you to feel like you are unlocking the resources within you, to have the confidence to venture beyond the borders of the village, so that even if you do meet a wolf or a bear, you feel capable and confident that you can manage that situation. And I wonder out what is beyond the walls of the village for you. Because one of two things can't be true. It can't be the case that change is not possible while simultaneously fearing change. If you fear change, then change is possible. And therefore, the antidote to fear is always action. The antidote to inertia is courage and belief. Feel that you are unlocking those wonderful resources within you. And I want you to get a sense that you're awakening a desire within you to explore new things and to see what's real rather than just accept what you've been told. I want you to feel like you're returning from the village to the present, taking back wonderful feelings of courage, self-belief, and resources. As you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, all parts returning to the present. That's it, as I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.